Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Middleton. So I heard you mention Odessa several times, and I believe that city ordinance was passed in November of 24. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. I don't have the exact month.
Okay. Are you aware that it never went into effect and that actually the new city council and new mayor called it a controversial ban and said they have no intention of enforcing it, and that it actually failed to pass muster because they didn't notify the public about it?
Well, look, this is a statewide policy, and this is part of the reason why we're doing that, is because there is a patchwork around the state right now.
I asked if you were aware.
I was aware they had some issues. Yes.
Okay. So it's actually not in place. So you've said multiple times that there is a city with an ordinance in place. It's not in place. And I'm just going to read a couple of quotes because I just want to ask you at the end how you feel about this in the context of everything you said. They described the bathroom ban as a controversial policy that was a final act of a lame duck council, which has been deemed unenforceable. It did not become law in Odessa, the mayor said. The T's weren't crossed and the I's weren't dotted, so it was never codified. The majority of council members that supported the proposal, including then mayor, lost their bids for re-election. Even though the former council successfully passed it, they never published the notice, so it didn't go into effect, and he called it draconian. The mayor said, "It's difficult to support a statute that appears to me on its very face to discriminate against a certain group of people. I just don't want anybody persecuted for all they're trying to do is use the restroom." So seems like that's new information for you. What's your reaction to it?
Well, so we shouldn't base whether or not we look out for the safety of women and children on some of these things that you're hearing of. They were afraid of the election, which is ridiculous. We put public safety first. We protect women and children in this body.
How are they afraid of the election if it was a lame duck?
They just talked about the election. They're worried about the election. Some of them got voted out over different issues, I assume.
You misheard me. It was a lame duck council. It was their last move out the door, and they failed to notify the public, so it didn't become law. That's very different.
I haven't seen the record on that. I would love to see it.
I'll shoot it over to you as soon as we're done. Thank you so much. And then you failed to answer it adequately, in my opinion, when my colleague asked you a minute ago. What's your data? What kind of data? What studies are you looking at? What number of assaults are happening in restrooms? And what number of assaults are happening by trans people as opposed to non-trans people?
So the data is what we saw with a nationwide order by the Federal Department of Education. That was something that everyone said would never happen when SB3, I believe it was SB3, with Senator Kolkorsh, was up in this chamber. That's never going to happen. This is a solution in search for a problem. No one will ever do that. Well, they did it. They did it. It was a nationwide order. Thank God we defeated that in the courts. Our Attorney General successfully defeated that in Texas. Other Attorney Generals did.
With all due respect, Senator Middleton, I'm a public health nurse.
And they were forcing that issue on us.
Data usually comes with a percentage, a rate, some sort of pie chart. What kind of data do you have to prove that this is a good law? You're at risk of hurting a lot of people who just need to go to the bathroom.
Who is this hurting?
People who need to go to the bathroom.
Everyone can use the restroom according to their biological sex. Everybody.
Senator, what data?
There's plenty out there about what's right. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I do not want a man going to the restroom with her. Every mom and dad that I've talked to, we heard testimony in committee how important this was. There was someone that was actually 10 years old when the law was first proposed in 2017. Now she's an adult. I think she was from Round Rock ISD. And she first discovered this issue when she was in school, and how wrong it felt, and how violated she felt. And we can go back and look at the history as well. I can walk you through of why we've done this in the past. Would you like me to do that? I would like to.
No, I would like for you to produce a study. Usually when everybody gets up here with these huge bill books, they flip through, they find the numbers, they talk about it, and I can tell that this is an emotional issue for you, and I know you've got a daughter. I would love to know what data you are basing this on, because you're talking about prosecuting a lot of Texans who literally need to pee.
No one's getting prosecuted under this bill. This does not create a criminal penalty. So no one is getting prosecuted. But let's talk about it. So sex-separated private spaces were essentially first thought about in the 1840s.
With all due respect, I don't want to take up a ton of time, and it doesn't sound like the answer to my question is coming, so I'll ask you another one. That's okay.
But you know why? You know why that was done? It was for safety. I'll get to the bottom line. For safety. That's why they did that. That's why I'm doing this. It's the same thing then as now.
Okay, and if you do find safety data, please send it over to my office. We'd love to see it. And I'm gonna ask another question that I think you failed to answer for my colleague, which is, what does this look like as someone's walking into a restroom? How do you check what somebody's gender or sex is before they go in there and go to the bathroom?
You simply take reasonable steps. Same policies our school districts have adopted as well. It's just reasonable steps. There's no mandate that they have someone they're checking. This is a reporting requirement, right? So you can file a complaint, and then you have the opportunity to have it resolved within a few days by the local political subdivision of the state agency. They have an opportunity to fix it or do something about it or adopt a policy to clarify this, and that counts. Then it's resolved and that ends at that point, right? So we create that process to cure, to make sure that this situation or this example you just gave me, that's not going to happen. It just takes reasonable steps. That's what it says. Reasonable. Reasonable.
Okay. Also, nothing specific in there. I would imagine you've engaged with a lot of stakeholders around this, and we want to hear, is it showing an ID? Is it a blood test? Is it showing somebody a body part to try to prove something? This doesn't feel enforceable, and I'm concerned. And I just want to share with you, because my prior question was about data. Comprehensive studies have found no link between trans-inclusive non-discrimination laws and increased safety risk in public restrooms or other gendered facilities. 75% of sexual assaults reported to law enforcement, which we do know is underreported, occur in a residence in Texas. So, you know, and what I'm concerned about and why I'm asking you about what this looks like walking into a bathroom for somebody is, as a woman, I'm afraid it's gonna make me less safe. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's been numerous reports on non-transgender women being harassed in restrooms because they were mistaken for being transgender. So how does your bill prevent such incidents from escalating under this policy?
10 states have passed legislation similar to this. 10 states. And for the same reason we're doing it here, to protect women and children and their safety. And I don't even know what you're talking about with people that would be afraid of this. You can use the restroom. It was like with the women's sports bill. You can play sports. Everyone can play sports according to your biological sex. Period, the end.
Nowhere in there did it name a single part of your bill that's going to help make sure that women who, frankly, don't look as feminine as some people want them to, aren't going to get harassed going into the bathroom, which has happened in multiple of the states that you're talking about that have passed these bans. What in your bill is going to protect women, my people, from getting harassed because we don't look the way that you think that we should?
This bill is very simple, Senator. It's very simple. It dedicates private spaces according to biological sex.
The author has just repeated talking points multiple times.
Like
I'm done. Thank you so much, though. I appreciate you answering some questions.
That should be on your driver's license. Very easy to show.